On any of the public hearings or the administrative calendar, please see one of the men or women in uniform. Our public safety officers would be delighted to sign you in and hear from you. And at the formal portion of the hearings, as they are concluded, the town board will stay behind for any miscellaneous items. In the interim, if everyone will rise to the pledge of allegiance. Councilwoman, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Please call the roll.
Supervisor Murray.
Present.
Councilman Ambrosino.
Here.
Councilman Blakeman.
Here.
Councilman Boosty.
Here.
Councilman Hughes.
Here.
Councilman Santino.
Here.
Councilman King Sweeney. Receiver of taxes, Donald Slater.
Here. Okay, please call the first public hearing.
Proposed local law regarding regulations and restrictions to limit parking in Baldwin, Belmore, Elmont, Island Park, Merritt, and West Hempstead.
I don't have any sign-ins. Does anybody wish to be heard on this matter? May I have a motion?
Second motion.
Supervisor Murray.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Boosty.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Santino.
Aye.
Councilman King Sweeney.
Okay, please call the next public hearing.
Proposed local law regarding parking and standing prohibitions in Belmore.
Does anybody wish to be heard on this matter? May I have a motion?
Second.
Supervisor Murray.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Boosty.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Santino.
Aye.
Councilman King Sweeney.
Before we go on to the next public hearing, we have two students with us. We'd like to welcome them, both from Hofstra, the journalism studies. We have Lauren Wolf, is that right, Lauren? There you are. And Abigail Pinn, is that correct? All right, ladies, welcome to town board. All right, please call the next public hearing.
Proposed local law regarding arterial stops in Baldwin, Elmont, Levittown, Lynbrook, and Oceanside.
Does anybody wish to be heard on this matter? May I have a motion?
I move the public hearing be closed and proposed local law adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Murray.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Boosty.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Santino.
Aye.
Councilman King Sweeney.
Please call the next public hearing.
Proposed local law regarding traffic regulations in the vicinity of schools in Oceanside.
Does anybody wish to be heard on this matter? May I have a motion?
Yes, Supervisor, I move the public hearing be closed and the proposed local law be adopted.
Second.
Thank you.
Supervisor Murray.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Boosty. Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Santino.
Aye.
Councilman King Sweeney.
Please call the next public hearing.
Proposed local law regarding U-turns prohibited in Merritt.
Does anybody wish to be heard on this matter? May I have a motion?
Second.
Supervisor Murray.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Boosty.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Santino.
Aye.
Councilman King Sweeney.
Please call the next public hearing.
Proposed local law entitled tow trucks. Tow cars.
Supervisor, I am recusing myself from this matter, and I will leave the chambers during the debate and discussion.
Okay. All right, we have a number of folks who wish to be heard. We have Thomas Leotti.
Yes.
Good morning, sir. If you could share your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Thomas Leotti, 600 Old Country Road, Lewiston, New York. And for the record, I represent approximately 18 to 25 towers, some of whom are not licensed by the town, and some of whom are also represented by the New York State Towers Association. I wanted to commend the town firstly and foremostly, and Mr. Rock and Mr. Macy, who's your outside counsel, Alex, and also Mr. Pope. Thus, you have been very accessible and have provided us with an awful lot of input to date. I wanted to, if I may, I know I only have 3 minutes, so I'm going to be brief, but I wanted to start my remarks by just making reference to an article that appeared in Newsday just a few days ago on March 7th. And you can see there's a picture in this article, and I have some extra copies for the board. But you can see in this article there's a picture of an accident scene in Baltimore, a very bad accident. The schools had to be closed, and there was seepage of water, 200,000 gallons of water, and so on. So the towers here have a number of concerns about the proposed ordinance. What I've done is I have given Mr. Macy and Mr. Colbert a position paper letter dated March 9th, and I do have extra copies of that for the board, so you'll understand the synopsis form exactly what our positions are. Again, the ordinance has been greatly improved by some of the suggestions made by the towers and their counsel, including Mr. David Cullen, who's also here to speak on behalf of some of the towers today. I wanted to mention that, just in synopsis form now, that we have to look at not only the interests of consumers, but the interests of towers. And honestly, from what I can see in the meetings that we've had with your council in the town hall here, the interests are very synonymous. And everyone has the same interests. Everyone agrees that consumers have to be protected, but at the same time, the business interests of the towers also have to be considered. And the ordinance, I think, strives to reach that accommodation. A couple of points I wanted to mention in the letter that I've given to you, if I may. The primary goal here of the towers is to have a fair rotational system that can be monitored. So there are some loose ends, I think, in the ordinance as it presently stands, which I've tried to suggest some remedies for. One of the things that we really need, Supervisor Murray, is some cooperation, some additional cooperation from the police department and Nassau County, wherein, among other things, towers would have access, preferably online, to MD 104 forms, so that we could determine who's getting the assignments. And the assignments have to be administered on a fair and impartial basis, on a rotational basis. So that's one point that I wanted to mention. There's also some indication of conflicts with insurance companies. And Mr. Macy is aware of this, I believe, in his recommendations to you. But also there are state regulations by the Department of Motor Vehicles that must be complied with in all respects. So that has to be engrafted into the proposed ordinance. So we need a little time to do that. My suggestion is, if the board pleases, that this matter be adjourned. And I think if we had 2 more meetings with your council, that we could probably resolve any remaining differences that we have. I also wanted to point out 2 other points, and then I'll shut up. One point on page 3, Madam Supervisor, is the rates. And we recommended certain rates for the towers here. And of course, they are somewhat flexible on those, but I think that's an area that we really have to address in light of the overhead that towers do have. And some of the issues, which I won't be later on right now, is some of the issues involving cleanup of accidents and things of that nature. The last point I wanted to mention to you is we were very concerned about the somewhat unwieldy nature of the application process. And your town clerk is fabulous, by the way. And Mr. Powers attended our meetings and so on, and he was wonderful. And I have no doubt that everyone is acting in good faith here. But one of the things I'd like you to consider is this, and one of my clients said, you know, the towers are not ballerinas, and therefore the prohibitions against convicted felons or even convicted misdemeanors, so to speak, may be unduly harsh. You know, if someone has paid their debt to society and worked their way back into society, they might be eligible for an application and licensing under the town code. And I'd like you to consider some of those issues, especially if someone has any disabilities and so on, and they would otherwise be eligible for various licenses within the state of New York. Those are my main points. Supervisor, I thank you for hearing me out, and the board for hearing me out. And Mr. Rock and Mr. Hilton and Mr. Macy for their cooperation.
Thank you, Mr. Leon, very much. Charles Rosenblum?
I will pass at this time, other than to say that we would like to agree that this matter should be adjourned so that further meetings can be held, and I think it would be better if I address my issues at those meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosenblum. Jody Cass, is advancing. Good morning.
Good morning.
If you could say your name and address for the record, that would be great.
My name is Jody Castickle, and I'm at 150 Hill Park Avenue right now.
Thank you.
So thank you for inviting me to speak today. I'm going to start by telling you a little bit about myself so you'll understand the lens through which I'm sharing my thoughts with you. I've been involved in government operations since the early 1980s on Capitol Hill, worked at Cochran's last term at City Hall. Soon after, in the late 90s, when I served on Governor Pataki's Supervision Working Group, I created a nonprofit organization, worked on crafting legislation that passed in Albany in 2003, so again amended in 2008, Hempstead, Brownfield, and Superfund. We created a new state program, awarded $43 million to 125 of our communities, including the village of Hempstead, I think about $300,000 for this program we crafted. I've been a registered lobbyist in Albany for the last decade and a half. And I'm telling you this history because I want you to know that I've seen how government works, and I also know that government is not working for the citizens. So my remarks today are in two parts. First, I want to summarize how I got involved in the issue. And second, I want to share my thoughts on the proposed bill. So last summer, I took a hiatus from my crazy schedule. And my husband and I went to watch our college-age son play basketball. He college basketball. At a summer league in fundamental sports training in America in Westbury. We got a great parking space right next to the building on fronting America Avenue. After the game, we got out of the building and our car was gone. Several of the players came out after the game and they wanted to know where their car was. Many cars were gone. It was dark, it was an unlit parking lot. There was one car left in this particular area, and there was a small sign that was temporary, indicating that there was no parking. It looked like just at that spot. It was immediately clear to me that we were victims of either a massive car theft or a massive towing scam. And so I called 911 as well as the press. At least five police officers eventually showed up. The incident lasted about 3 hours. We eventually found out that our cars had been towed to a lot around the corner, owned by the name of it was Syasset Trucks. The tow truck driver was demanding cash and payment to release the cars. We asked to see the required paperwork, which we knew, some of the folks that we were with knew that documents needed to be faxed to the police station. Police assured me that they had seen the paperwork, all was in order, and they told us that we had to pay cash. If there was no cash, the police offered to drive us to the ATMs. We didn't take them up on that, but we know at least one got both right at the I and my husband were extremely angry, and my husband said if he wants $135, first they wanted $170, and then they brought it down to $135. He said, you'll have to work for it, and we'll come and get your car tomorrow. The next morning, my husband rode his bike to the place that was the address that was located on the door of the anyway, I'll cut to the chase, but it was a single-family home, a fenced-in lot. No one answered the door, called the number of the towing sign, eventually we got our car back, we had to pay cash. As angry as we were to be shaken down for first $170 and then $135, for a spot that was clearly, it was just so clear to any reasonable person was part of this facility. What really burned me up was watching half a dozen young men, many of them people with young men of color, shell out cash, hundreds of dollars of cash, and I can only imagine it was very hard earned. And watching the tow car operator pocket, it must have been at least $1,000. And that was for over an hour's worth of work. What made it worse is that he was clearly using the law, and he was using the police to victimize us. At that time, I vowed that I would fight this, not just to receive our money, but also so that others would not be so easily victimized. We reached out to the town of Hempstead, and let me just say that the folks that we've been working with at the town have been really terrific. I want to especially call out Peter Pellegrini, who's always been knowledgeable, supportive, accessible, and always professional. It's going on 8 months now, so thank you.
Yes, I know.
So on to the bill, part 2. And I do have written comments, so I'm not going to read it to you because it's very detailed.
But we'll make it part of the record.
Okay, great. I did spend some time this morning meeting with some of your staff and outside counsel, and so I did have some things clarified, so I appreciate that. So some of the stuff probably needs to be tinkered with. But the first thing I want to say is that as I mentioned earlier, I've been involved in a lot of legislation, crafting pieces of it even on my maternity. I've never seen a bill where folks have to vote on it. It's not very clear what the existing law is versus what is being proposed to be added and what's being proposed to be deleted. And so, and the public also, it just apparently doesn't exist. I've never seen that before, and I've been involved in very complex legislation, and it appears to obfuscate what's being proposed to be changed. We think, based on my read of the existing ordinance, the ordinance is quite strong the way it is, and we commend the town for wanting to improve it. So it's not clear to me. I was up very late last night trying to prepare them, and I couldn't even do a comparison because all the bills, all the chapter numbers were changed. So I just have never seen that happen. And it just doesn't look, I don't know what's being lost by doing that. The 39-page document. So one of the recommendations is that clearly point out to town board members what actually is being added and what actually is being deleted to this law that's being proposed. And I don't know what's being lost by, like I said, changing chapter numbers. Be crafting it. I've been involved in very, very complex legislation. It can be done so that the chapter numbers don't change and the section numbers don't change. So what used to be section 10 is no longer section 10. Second thing, we'd like to see the provisions regarding license revocation for tow car operators and owners be clarified and strengthened. We'd like to see them have more teeth. If folks are doing things, like what happened to us, and paying fines or paying their lawyer to avoid fines as a matter of doing business, it skirts the intent and the spirit of the law. And there's lots of provisions in the current ordinance already, but we'd like to see them enforced more, and we'd like to see them have more teeth. So, for example, making sure that the history of compliance with this section for any remaining operations that tow car companies come to the clerk of the town in the future, this disclosure, not that it's necessarily held against them, but at least disclose it so folks can make the right decision, or decisions based on the facts. One of the first suggestions is prohibiting the issuance of license to folks who have actually been in significant non-compliance. I know that's difficult to enforce, so I certainly understand that. One suggestion, which we didn't have a chance to talk about this morning, the staff is that tow car operators be required to post a bond and place funds in escrow. It's not clear to me. I did do a quick search on Google and found that many of the operating, many of the firms are run by the same people. So I don't know if they close up shop and then they reopen under a different name. But if they're closing up shop because they don't want to pay, maybe if they post a bond, then they're less likely to be interested in creating those violations. Clearly, cash only promotes shakedown.
Yeah, that definitely is changed.
Yeah, it's great.
That every tow truck driver has to accept credit cards at all times.
It's fabulous. It's great. The other suggestion is that, you'll see that we'll talk about this a little later, but that the town suggests that they offer training to the police department so that when the police are involved, and if the tow truck operator is only going to accept cash, that the police tell the tow truck company to release the vehicle or they're going to impound it or arrest them for theft or whatever. I mean, that's really what it felt like. Essentially victimizing the victim. The main thing, one of the probably most important things that we think would be effective in curtailing predatory towing is to add sunshine to the process. If I talked about this earlier with the town, and the town said they would consider this going forward. But the document that must be faxed and written, submitted to the police department within an hour of the car being towed. If a vehicle owner wants to see that, they should be able to see that. Today's technology should be
I know
really simple.
you
to
were
make
not
that
made
available.
privy to that, as I recall from your letter.
Apparently it wasn't done.
Yeah.
But you know, if it wasn't done, and the police, and if we called the police, and the paperwork clearly was not ordered, the police should then enforce, that's a second issue. But at least make it available, make it incumbent upon their, you know, the fact that they've got a license to operate, that they have to provide this information if it's asked. And we're very pleased with the county, and take a hard look at that, so thank you. You know, like I said earlier, but, you know, we think the ordinance as it stands now is actually pretty strong. The biggest issue is the way it's being enforced by the police. And so, what we have some, you know, we know you can't legislate the police department to do, but there are some suggestions requiring, for example, that the town offer training to the police department to look at these things, to understand what's in the statute, especially if the new bill is passed.
Absolutely.
Require, clarify the role of car, I couldn't tell by reading the proposed bill what the role of car inspectors are, these should be with the police department. And then you're proposing a towing advisory committee, perhaps inviting the towing to the police department to participate in that. So in closing, just to summarize a couple of key points, you know, this is a great cocktail party conversation. People think I'm nuts that I'm pursuing this.
Not at all, not if you can do it.
But the shocking thing to me is that how many people have been victims of similar situations. That's a shocking thing to me. Clearly it's a problem for Long Island, it's certainly a problem for the town. The bill that, the towing bill was actually introduced in Albany, that passed in 2008, was actually introduced by legislators from Long Island. We very much applaud the town for the work that's been happening and that's moving forward with this legislation. We do think there are a couple things that could be tightened, but we do think it also goes a very long way to the extent that we understand exactly what it does. So again, we encourage that you make sure that it's very clear what's being changed. While we understand you can't legislate better enforcement by the police, we do encourage the town to consider, as you're thinking about this, what can be done to encourage institutionalizing a better response from the police department. So with that, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Ms. Gaskell. Thank you for sharing your travails with us. And they've been helpful, and this has been a long process.
Well, it's been very therapeutic for me. So.
Well, I'm glad for you, but certainly working with consumers, individuals with the tow truck industry, and our town attorneys. This has been a long process. We have been trying to get all sides to try to get as much input. That's the result of today's amendments. And bottom line is we want to be fair to everybody. And we appreciate you sharing your experiences with us.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ron Marciano? Good morning, sir. Can you share your name and address for us for the record, please?
That's Ron Marciano, 686 Burnside Avenue in Linwood.
Thank you.
And I'd like to just say a couple points. We've been licensed, my family, for close to 54 years by the town of Hempstead as a licensed co-operator. I want to commend the licensing division, Jim Powers, in going through this for the last 15 years that we've got to this point. I think you've done a good job. I think that it's important to move forward. The rotational program is something that's needed, and I think that there are a few things that need to be addressed, maybe fine-tuned, and adjusted. A couple of things that I have a couple of direct issues with that I'd like to go on record with relate to in the form of payments. Obviously, you need to accommodate someone that's a consumer and be able to take credit cards and so on. I don't really understand why specifically it was written into this proposal that insurance checks be accepted. I don't think that that's something that's advisable. We've had issues where stop payments were issued down the road. I don't really consider that an inconvenience for the insurance companies if they're picking up the vehicle to make alternate arrangements for payments. Obviously, if someone's car is towed in, as an individual, as a consumer, they have to be given options of payments, but I don't believe that the insurance companies need to be written into the regulation. I also have a concern about access to vehicles being an agent and not an actual consumer, again, owner of a vehicle. I don't think that the town should be in a position to require a business to show or have access to anyone other than the owner, and be able to make an arrangement for, let's say, an insurance agent or someone else to have access. So I think that's something to address. The other point that I'd like to make is that regarding where the town has put out a form regarding an actual repair of damages, I think that falls into the area of most of us as repair shops being regulated by the Department of Motor Vehicle. I think that the town itself, in having a rotational tow program, should really be guided more into the tow area as opposed to looking to try and regulate a contract that will exist between a consumer, a customer, and for something that falls under the DMV. So those couple of quick points are really all I have to say. I thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I think we're all looking forward to ways to improve the processes down there. Thank you.
David Colton? David Colton? Oh, Cohen. I'm sorry. Is it Cohen?
Cohen.
Sorry.
Okay.
Good morning.
My name is David Cohen. I'm with the firm of Moore, Hawk and Hamilton, 400 Garden Plaza, Garden, New York. I represent approximately 15 tows who all are here today. I'd like to thank you for having the opportunity to speak to you. I'm going to keep my comments very brief. Hopefully, I have attended over the last 2 weeks a meeting with Charles Covey, Joe Macy, Dan Evers, Elizabeth Powers, and others from the town in an effort to resolve what is a very long, complicated ordinance and try to simplify it. They put us in law school to keep it simple, stupid, and I think if we can simplify the ordinance, it would be better not only for the towing company, it would be better for the consumers, but frankly, it would be easier for the town clerk and the police department to enforce the ordinance. And while I don't speak for Mr. Macy and Mr. Evers and Mr. Kovitz, I think it's important to understand that as late as last Friday, right after the snowstorm, we had a meeting in this building, and I would characterize our meetings in that one in particular as very amicable. And I think they and the towing community have made great strides to improve that ordinance. And I think it is imperative that we be given the opportunity to continue to fix what is, as I said, a complicated ordinance. It doesn't make sense to rush this. It's not for the benefit of the towing company. Most importantly, it would not be beneficial for the community at large. And I think that's why we are all here. We need to get this right for all the parties concerned. And once again, I think if Mr. Kovitz or Mr. Macy will speak today, they would agree that we have made great progress in making this ordinance better. And finally, I have been working with ESTRA, which is the Empire State Towing and Recovery Association. And Peter O'Donnell, who is the head of ESTRA, has been on these conference calls from Albany with us as late as last Friday. And his input has been very important and well received by your outside counsel and by the town attorney. And once again, we would implore that we be given the opportunity to make this ordinance better and not rush it through to a vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Ray White?
I'll pass it this time.
Okay, sir. Is it H-A-I is Cross, something Cross Towing in that company?
I'll pass this on to.
All right, thank you. Phyllis Procacci? Good morning, sir. If you could just state your name and address for the record.
Felix Procacci, 1165 Barn Street, Franklin Square, New York. I wasn't planning on speaking on this towing issue, but some things that the lady over here said really caught my attention regarding the transparency of a process, and whatever this process is to develop a good law for towing, I feel it should be really, the public should be made aware of what's going on, because so far, you know, not too many people from the community are talking on this issue, and I, as you know, attend all these meetings. One thing that came to light this morning as I was reading the resolutions was last night I downloaded the resolutions, and there was 109 pages. And this morning when I was looking at them, I downloaded them again from the Town of Hempstead website, there was 115 pages. I didn't have time to go through them and see what has changed as, I don't know if it was this resolution or something else, but in the future, what I would recommend is that people, when you put the resolutions up and then you change them after they download from the internet, that people are notified that there's a change to it. There should be an asterisk or something with the last date, because, like I said, I did three.
There was anything changed from last night to this
From yesterday to today, I'll tell you exactly. On Friday they come out, there were, I forgot, 100 and maybe 97 pages. Then you add the personnel resolutions, brought it up to 109 yesterday, and this morning when I downloaded it, I can't tell you what time it happened, but it was 115. Just, I got them all downloaded on the, I can send them to you. I can send you exactly what that,
Are you
3 documents.
talking about the entire calendar as a whole?
No, the PDF, the PDF at the bottom,
Are you
the
talking?
details of the resolutions,
Are you talking about the entire calendar? Is that
the
right?
details of the calendar.
If there were added pages, it may have been because a hearing, a public hearing that's going to be scheduled for May 24th, March 24th, there were other paragraphs added to that
Sure.
notice. Not for today, for March 24th.
Understood. But
That's,
all-
so that could have been what happened.
Okay, the idea is just, what, transparency, make sure that people understand that the calendar has changed so they can look at what the changes were. The thing is, that's what, I have to go through 109 pages, 150 pages, and see what got added. And there's no notification given. And being that they get taken down almost immediately after this meeting's over, there's no opportunity for residents to look at it. I mean, that's, I've said this before, that's all, just make it clear, and I'm really done. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Manning? I have, the rest of the speaking slips, I have a couple maybes, and all of the rest are no. So why don't I just say general? Does anybody else wish to speak on this proposed amendment? All right. Ma'am, can we come forward? Good morning. If you could share your name and address for the record.
Good morning, thank you, Dr. My name is Carol Beard, my address is 323 Fern Street, Southampton.
Okay, could you speak into the microphone? a little
Sure,
bit?
absolutely, sorry about that. My husband is owner and operator and sole proprietor of Hempstead Towing, a company that has been in business in the town of Hempstead for over 30 years. Although today's proposal is being called a give and take, with all due respect to the board, in my opinion, it seems to be a bit more of a take. For example, a town license that used to cover the entire town previously cost $125. Now towing companies will pay $200 only to cover a small fraction of the town. If a towing company would like to cover the entire town of Hempstead, like it has for decades, it will now cost approximately $6,200. That's a pretty large take. This proposal also claims to give a rate increase of $35, yet the $35 necessary cleanup fee has been removed. So therefore, technically, there really is not a rate increase at all. Numbers have just been shifted around a little bit. Also, the new higher insurance coverage that towing companies would now have to absorb the cost of on top of what is already required by the state is a very large take as well. These issues raise the question of how can towing companies simply be expected to absorb all these new costs without a real and adequate rate increase? Also, the proposal as it stands today with the rotation system takes away the public's right to choose who they would like handling their vehicles. I think most people regard their vehicles very highly and are faithful to companies that they have used and trusted for years. I think the public should retain their right to choose who handles their vehicle. Today's proposal also does not necessarily remove any flaws and corruption that occur within the present system. This raises the question of how does the board plan on monitoring the rotation system and ensuring that it is being carried out correctly? I believe that the town board should iron out the particulars with the towing advisory board that's comprised of diversified, varied members of the industry prior to voting this into effect. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Moore. Does anybody else, will say it again, does anybody else wish to be heard on the tow truck issue? All right, may I have a motion?
Yes, Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and decision be reserved.
I second the motion.
Supervisor Murray. Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Gooseby. Councilman Hughes. Councilman Santino. Councilman King Sweeney.
So we have, I just want to thank the members of the public and the towing industry as well. This has been a long process for this towing legislation. We will be a reserved decision. We will certainly take under advisement all of the written documents that have been submitted to the board today. Thank you. Please call the next public hearing.
Proposed handicap parking on public streets in Elmont, Franklin Square, Island Park, Levittown, Roosevelt, Valley Street, and Woodmere.
Does anybody wish to be heard on this matter? If not, may I have a motion?
Yes, Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and the proposed handicap parking in public streets.
Supervisor Murray. Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Gooseby. Councilman Hughes. Councilman Santino. Councilman King Sweeney.
Please call the decision.
On the decision calendar, we have application of 1616 Dutch Broadway Realty LLC to rezone from Residence B District to Business District in Elmont. I also have a companion application. Application of 1616 Dutch Broadway Realty LLC to permit to include existing gasoline service station within GSS District in Elmont. Supervisor Murray. Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Hughes. Councilman Santino. I have an application of 372 Charity Boulevard, Cork, to rezone from Residence B District to Business District in Inwood, and also a companion application of 372 Charity Boulevard Corporation for special acceptance public garage to maintain and legalize an existing building as an auto repairs shop with storage and custom service areas, and seeking permission for front yard setback variance in Inwood.
Yes, Supervisor, I move that the decision be approved.
Supervisor Murray. Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Gooseby. Councilman Santino.
Please call the next decision.
application of Waterview Land Development LLC to rezone from industrial district to CAS district, resident district in Island Farm.
Supervisor, move the application be approved.
Supervisor Murray? Councilman Epsteino? Councilman Blakeman?
Aye.
Councilman Auguste? Councilman Hughes?
Aye.
Councilman Santino? Councilman King Sweeney? Supervisor, on the administrative calendar, I have items 1 to 38.
Does anybody wish to sever any of the items? Not, I have a motion.
Yes, Supervisor, move the administrative calendar.
Supervisor Murray?
We have some speakers. Charles and Casey? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Well, you say you know. I'm sorry about that. Mr. Casey, wish to speak? Donna Pizzata? Good morning.
How are you? Donna Pizzazza, 405 Coleridge Road in Hempstead. How are you? I don't have the calendar in front of me right now, so I'm here on the sanitation district 7, the surplus property. There's an approval of the sale of the surplus monies, and on the PDF it says it's, you received a letter from the sanitary district. Can we get the details of what this encompasses?
The sanitary district has what they call surplus property. In order for them to go forward with that sale, they need the consent of the town board. They will have, or have already have, I think the attorney's in the room, Mr. Lippert? Yes. I think they either will have, under the Civil Division's Act, a public hearing, or they already had a public hearing, I'm not sure. But that's what this is.
Well, let me ask a question, please. I understand from the PDF that the letter is dated June 24th, 2014. Is the letter requesting the town?
Yes, that's correct.
Can I ask what the delay is from June of 2014 to present the...
The delay was between the seller and the purchaser, not quite ready to proceed.
All right, the second question I have is, Mr. Lippert, when were you hired by Sanitary District 7?
On a real estate matter, I think it goes back several years. I was just retained this month as general counsel to the district.
Correct, because I guess I have a question, and I'm sure you'll be able to answer it, is on June 19, there was an election with Sanitary District number 7, and at that time, you were hired only as outside counsel with respect to the election contest.
Yes,
So,
that's correct.
all right, so the letter is dated June 24th to the board, and my question is, on June 19th, you were hired as outside counsel, so when did you become of counsel or counsel to the board to have this letter dated that date?
Well, as I said, I was real estate counsel on this transaction going back several years. I supervised the RFP process and the contract negotiations. Then I was hired by the board as special counsel for the election matter, and as I said, within the last few weeks, their general counsel retired, Mrs. Klein, and I was hired as general counsel.
All right, my next question is with respect to transparency. Sanitation District number 7's website does not, other than on the site, it tells us all the reasons why it wasn't able to help its taxpayers during Hurricane Sandy. But nowhere, wait a minute, I have 3 minutes, but nowhere does it tell any of the taxpayers that they're entertaining selling the surplus land. Nowhere does it say how much, nowhere does it say why, if there are reasons that they need the money. There's no transparency. And in fact, the meetings aren't put on the website. So I guess I'd like to ask you, when are you going to allow the members?
Why don't you, is that, you're talking, now you're talking about sanitary seven meetings?
All right, but then let me ask you a question.
I'm not sure.
Let me ask you a question. What's before the board today? Just to agree to the sale?
To consent.
To consent to the sale? Do we have a dollar amount of the sale? Do we know what they're selling it for?
Mr. Wood, did you, has your district held the public hearing yet?
They did, I believe that they did, it was before my tenure there, but my understanding is that they did.
Those,
wasn't
that,
our
that
process.
information you can get directly from the district. The town of Hempstead has no interest in what they're selling the property for. That's for that board of commissioners to do. There's a provision in the Civil Divisions Act going back to 1930 that requires the town board to give its assent in case there's any adverse effects on the town.
Okay, so just to be clear, you're just voting on the sale. You do not know who it's being sold to. The board doesn't know how much, but that's what you're doing, is just approving it.
We know that they're selling surplus.
All right, and my last question is, which council member here, Sanitary District 7, the surplus land, whose district is it in?
That would be mine.
Mr. Santino, great. So we'll wait and see if there's, to my knowledge, there's no public hearing, but, let's see what happens. Thank you.
But again, that would be the sanitary seven.
Oh, I understand that, but just think about it. You have a website, and they have a website, and you're approving a sale, and each one of you do not know the details of the property being sold, who it's being sold to, the dollar amount, and the reason. But we're just gonna stamp it and say, okay.
There's no adverse effect to the residents of the town of Hempstead from that sanitary district selling the surplus.
What if it's being sold for $1? How would you know that if you don't know the sale?
That's
Mr. Rodney, may I respond, or Supervisor, may I respond? The sale, first of all, the board meets, as I think you know, the third Thursday of every month, and they do put notices of the meetings out. In addition to that, the sale was voted upon at one of those public meetings. I'd be happy to give you the details of it. We did circulate that information to the town. The purchase price was $850,000. But after 2 RFP processes were run and then a best and final offer process. So, and I'd be more than happy to provide you with that information.
And that's great to provide it to me, but to be honest with you, I think it would be great if you could go back to your board and see if you could put those notes on the website, since the only thing that's on that website for the taxpayers is their budget for 2013. The budget for 2014 and even the budget for 2015 is not even on there.
Would urge you to speak to the independently elected commissioners on the sanitary board to encourage them to be more transparent, the concerns that you raised today.
And I will convey that as well, Supervisor.
Thank you, Mr. Sauer. Felix McClatchy?
Felix Capacci, 1165 Barn Street, Franklin Square, New York. I just want to make a comment on the Oceanside Sanitary District property sale. The town board does get the budget and audit each year from all the special districts, and they have fiduciary responsibility to review that. So they should know all that information. So if there's a pending sale, what the prices are, and all that kind of good stuff.
But
The
if
town
the
is
sale
over.
is just taking place now.
Understood,
Future
understood.
budget.
Because I went through the same thing in my district, in Sanitary District 6, where we here at the town of Hempstead, even though we're the overseers of Sanitary District 6, we claim ignorance. But you're not ignorant. Joe Rao was at the voting place for a long time. So there's a lot of, there's not a separation, as you say, that independence is, you have to question that, because why would you know the order of events is kind of bizarre with the sanitary district. They will call the hearing here at Town Hall for a date, and Joe Rock claimed he didn't even know the date of the referendum. So how do you know what date to call the hearing for?
Are you talking about the
No, I'm talking about what happened at Sanitary District 6. I'm talking about the connection between the town and the special districts, which is the issue here. That, you know, you claim separation, but there isn't separation. And you could enforce some level of transparency, and you get the audit from Sanitary District 7, you could, since you have to review it with taxpayer money paid for by town residents, you could post it up on the town website so that there's clarity.
We don't control an independent.
I'm not saying you control it.
You said we could post up on their website.
When you get the audit from Sanitary District 7 and Sanitary District 6 and all the other special districts, you can post that up on your website. It'll cost you no money to do so there could be clarity if Sanitary District 7 and 6 don't want to do that. So you can make transparency at no cost to the taxpayer if you wish to do so. On item numbers 28, just basically a couple of questions is, we're hiring this guy. Is this the first year we're hiring him as a consultant? How long has he been retained with us?
Probably in excess of 20 years, but that's just off the top. When I became supervisor, we had already done.
Okay, so it's long, okay, yeah, that's good enough. Doesn't ask to do before, but it's, you know, that's fair. Then item number 30 is the various offices and positions. I hate talking about these issues, but they just stand out to me. Danielle Garcia, she's the daughter of the CSEA union member, Jerry Garcia, that's correct?
Are you asking?
I'm asking him. You're appointing to a research assistant in the Department of Citation. Okay. Was this job advertised for community research assistant? You approved these resolutions, you're going to approve these resolutions in a few minutes as soon as I sit down. So one would know what's on the resolution calendar for what was the requirements to obtain this position of community research assistant?
Mr. Salmon? We could get the,
I'm going to foil it, I just want to know.
we'll get to the specs. I can tell you the right time.
Okay, because I believe she lives in Oyster Bay. Does she have, if an employee obtains a job in the town of Hempstead, who lives in Oyster Bay, will they have, like everybody else, have to move to the town of Hempstead within 60 days? 90 days?
That's not a requirement.
It's not a requirement?
That's not an existing requirement.
I recall reading it, but I believe on one of the applications on your website, that if you're not a resident of the town, you must become a resident of the town within 60 and 90 days. I forget the number.
There are some positions that require residency. This is not.
So this one, which type require residency? Arbitrary? Okay. So I only recall from the application that it indicated.
Supervisor, council members, town clerk, finger practice,
Town spokesperson?
Your animal shelter director wasn't required to live in town of Hempstead. She lived in Huntington.
Yeah, that was a national.
Well, we need one again. We need another national search.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much.
Does anybody else wish to, have you heard of any of the administrative items?
Supervisor Murray.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Boothby.
Special on number 7, the resolution authorizing issuance of a building permit with in connection with building permit and application of all association applications
on Firehouse Building. Unionville, Avenue.
Councilman Hughes. Councilman Santino. Councilman Sweeney.
May I have a motion? Supervisor, move to adjourn.
Supervisor Murray. Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman. Councilman Boothby. Councilman Hughes. Councilman Santino. Councilman Sweeney.
All right, the whole portion of the meeting is over. And so we have some residents who will be heard. Lynetta Lopez? Yes. Gregory Creighton?
Anytime.
I'm sorry?
Anytime.
Professor Greg Maynard? Good morning, sir. If you could share your name and address for the record?
Yes, Greg Manning, 24 Rockland Street, Hempstead, Uniondale School District. Thank you, Supervisor Murray and the board, for giving us this opportunity to speak. I'm co-facilitator of the Greater Uniondale Area Action Coalition, which is a coalition consisting of 26 organizations with a combined membership of over 30,000 people. Uniondale is a diverse and integrated community, one of the few, I might add, on Long Island. We are the living embodiment of Dr. King's dream. When they're young, we take our children to our museum row, our Coliseum, and our nature preserve. When they reach adulthood, many go to our community college and our university. When they graduate, many work at our Arts, our Plaza, and our other office buildings. These places are part of our daily lives. They're part of our community. They're part of Uniondale. Now we're seeing efforts to carve an East Garden City out of this part of our community, taking away some of our most important community development drivers and capacity. While the town board says that it has very little to do with this, and it's a federal matter, the town board has actually furthered this developer real estate agenda. We have seen Town of Hempstead signs stating Town of Hempstead, East Garden City, and these signs were only taken down when residents of the community came to a board meeting holding signs very much as they're doing today. In 2013, the town board redrew councilmanic districts, and they took away the northern part of Uniondale from Councilwoman Goosby's Legislative 1 district, a majority racial minority district, and put it in Councilmember Ambrosino's district, Legislative District 2, a predominantly white and affluent district, and a district now represented by a real estate lawyer. When making your decisions, the board showed a map with East Garden City on it. The official website of board member Ambrosino lists East Garden City as part of his constituency. The most recent budget for the town of Hempstead lists, in terms of its districts, lists an East Garden City fire district. Is there an East Garden City fire department? No. Which fire department services that part of Uniondale? So since 2000, the Census Bureau has designated East Garden City as a place. According to the Census Bureau, CDPs are supposed to be recognized and, I'm quoting, recognized and used in daily communication by the residents of the community, and not a name developed solely for planning or other purposes. Were any Uniondale residents here ever consulted by the Census Bureau? No. So, I know. So our research indicates.
It's a federal government issue. So
Well, no. Well, there's a part that the town can play, and I'll get to that in just a second. I'll keep it brief. You know, our research says that Long Island Regional Planning Council was behind this request. And yet the census says that you do not create a census designated place solely for planning or other purposes. You might ask why we should care about a CDP given that they do not confer legal status on the area. Our answer is that CDPs can be used as justifications for conferring legal status, particularly in the context of an unincorporated hamlet like Uniondale. For instance, the Nassau County Consortium already has used the census designated place to designate East Garden City as a municipality for awarding of community development block grants.
Yes.
If left unchallenged, these changes pave the way for residents and businesses losing their identification with Uniondale and seeking to separately incorporate. This power and wealth grab threatens the health and well-being of our community, your constituents. Creating a new political entity and calling it East Garden City will likely result in Uniondale losing significant benefits that come from the development of the Coliseum and Mitchell Field, higher taxes for Uniondale residents contributing to greater foreclosures and less funding for our schools, increased competitions for CDBGs and other community development funding. So the letter you distributed this morning at our protest, in my opinion, doesn't even begin to cut it. So we are asking you to do three things. We want the town board to pass a resolution that East Garden City does not exist, reaffirm that Uniondale includes Museum Road, Mitchell Field, the Coliseum, Nassau Community College, RXR Plaza, and all parts of Hofstra that are not within the boundaries of the 2 or 3, and then I'm done. We want you to, the Census Bureau has indicated in correspondence, which I can provide for you, that if we want to remove East Garden City from the 2020 census, we need the cooperation of the town and the county to file a change of designation. So we asked the board to call upon Commissioner Bakich and the rest of the town planning, Department of Planning and Economic Development staff to work with us as part of the Participant Statistical Areas Program for the census to remove this fiction from the next census. Third and lastly, we want you to strike from the record East Garden City Fire District and replace it with its proper name, Uniondale Fire District. In recognition that the Uniondale Fire Department services all of Uniondale. Don't fan the flames of racial prejudice and segregation. We will not be divided. We are Uniondale. Thank you.
Uniondale residents asked us to step up to the plate for all of you. We did. We wrote a letter to Senator Schumer, Senator Gillibrand, and Congresswoman McCarthy. And we have now renewed our request to them because this is a federal issue. We have in our Economic and Planning Development Department, George Bakich, who we're referring to before, we were looking at the census maps and the CDBG eligible maps that we received from the Census Bureau. We have one here. I mean, for example, they call it, it's a census 2010 census tract maps. This is from the U.S. government, federal government, and it designates East Garden City. I mean, exactly, and it's from the feds. We don't have control, as we have tried to urge people to understand. As the town board, we're with you, but we don't have the control to unilaterally change the East Garden City designation. That's why we have renewed our request.
So, thank you for that, and we appreciate your support. But the point I'm trying to make is that the town can play a vital role in getting it removed from the 2020 census through the town Department of Planning and Economic Development in cooperation with WAC, in cooperation with the Nassau County Planning Commission. We can file a request to change the census. And as part of the participant statistical areas program. And that's a standard process. And the town needs to be involved. And I saw this letter, thank you. So we look forward to working with Commissioner Bakich. I'm sorry for the mispronunciation. You know, we also feel that it would be very strong support to have our town board reaffirm that East Garden City does not exist through a resolution. That's part of the documentation that the census is looking for. They're not only looking for those in, and I'll give you again the correspondence we have with Jeff Baylor, who's the director of the Eastern region for the census. It's that kind of documentation, not only amongst those who are residents and businesses within the area, but it's also surrounding areas. So that kind of resolution would be incredibly helpful. And there are certain things that are within the town's control that aren't related to this issue of the census. You don't have to use census maps indicating East Garden City if you don't believe there is an East Garden City.
I just want to make sure everybody knows, for purposes of federal dollars, the census tracts dictate where the CDBG dollars go. We can't pick and choose, well, we don't like this neighborhood, or we do like that neighborhood, and so we're going to ignore what the feds say about where CDBG money can go. If we don't go by their maps, we don't get
data for East
But let me segue into, there is another matter that is definitely within your control, the town's control, and that is the naming of your tax districts. So with East Garden City Fire District, can you not change that?
There is something called the East Garden City Fire Protection District. There is no such thing. It's an area of the town of Hempstead that is not protected by any fire department. Therefore, the town sends out proposals to the various fire departments close by to say who wants to protect this area.
But is that area not within Uniondale?
Once again, we're into the census tract designation. The point is, there is no such thing as the East Garden City Fire Department or East Garden City Fire District. It is called a protection district. Just like, for example, in Franklin Square, there's something called the Gardenia Park Fire Protection District. There's no such thing as Gardenia Park. It's the same kind of thing. There's a census designation. So, to that extent, there are no dollars that are not being paid to Uniondale or Uniondale School District that should be being paid to the fire district.
So you're saying that you would lose federal funding if you renamed it to the Uniondale Fire District?
What I'm saying is there's no such thing as a Uniondale Fire District. There is something called the Uniondale Fire Protection District.
Okay, so
for lack of a better name.
So there's no.
I think the supervisor made it clear. We would love to work with you. We'd love to sit down. We'd love to see what you have from the Census Bureau, because certainly they've never answered us. And we've written. I have things going back to 1963 in my file on this issue. So we'd love to sit down and work with you on this. It's a technical issue, and as the supervisor just said, we'd love to work with you on it. So we really don't have a dispute. The question is, how do we get from where we are to where you want us to be? And we should.
Well, no more than right.
Excuse me. I'd like to speak. If you'd like to speak, please have a chair. I have some right. Okay, so I am going to work with you, whatever you want to fly to work with you on. I am going to Washington, D.C. in the last of April to the Robin Movement Association of together, give me 3 packets together. I will be meeting with Senator Schumer, Senator Gillibrand, and Congressman Rice. I will give them those packets from you.
Great.
Just get the research within your packet, and give me 3 packets, and while I'm there, I will present those.
Thank you. That's very helpful. And here's the message from the Senate. Here.
There is no dispute about your feelings and about your desire to include East Garden City as part of the Uniondale community. There is no dispute.
So
it was just that the idea that we can do it unilaterally, that's just not correct. But we will work with you to work with the federal government and the entities that can actually change it.
thank you. And just so I'm clear and can report back to our member organizations. So the town board is receptive to passing a resolution stating that there is no East Garden City.
If that's part of the process, we will look at that as it becomes more pregnant, so to speak. But the bottom line is we want to work.
I think it's overdue.
Today, the ones who are here, I think you signed in already with your names and address, that attach that, you will attach that. So when I go to Washington in April, I will certainly present those packets that you have along with the names and address. I'm going to see them in person and ask them to write.
And we will be meeting with Commissioner Bakich.
We'd be happy to set up.
Okay,
Absolutely.
and if it doesn't jeopardize federal tax monies, you will change the name of the protection district from East Garden City to Uniondale.
You can't call it the Uniondale Fire Protection District.
Why not?
Because the Uniondale Fire Department probably would get upset by that because that's not them. They're the Uniondale Fire Department and cover a specific area. We need to sit, it's very technical, Professor. We need to sit down, we'll sit down.
I will let the fire department speak to those issues with
The
you.
answer is not no. The answer is we need to work through it. Okay?
Thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Mervyn Campbell, A. Campbell, M-E-R-V-Y-N, A. Campbell. 40 years resident, 14 years elected commissioner, 36 years member of the Uniondale Fire Department, ex-chief. And 5 board members of the Fire Commission. It's requesting that the town of Hempstead council members expeditiously correct the despicable and malicious act that was perpetrated by the town of Hempstead board and their employees of omitting the name of Uniondale Fire District from the advertised town listing as the true and legal fire protection district for the Uniondale town, covering and providing fire protection border to border. Further requesting, once the request is taken care of, that the town will notify any and all residents residing in the town of Uniondale that they are residing in the town of Uniondale and protected by the Uniondale Fire District. I would also request that this correction is advertised in any and all publication used by the town to notify all residents and business entities, and any and all town correspondence will also reflect the same. If our request is not immediately corrected, the Board of Fire Commissioners will be left no other choice but to legally challenge your establishment for this despicable act. The board and residents in the town of Uniondale have arrived at the conclusion that this was a concerted effort to disenfranchise the town from our commercial tax base. Litchfield era is our town. We also hope that this is not a plan for investors and property owners to manipulate our boundaries to compensate themselves and fill their pockets. I hope that this is our request to correct this matter on behalf of the Uniondale Fire District and the hard-working residents of the town of Uniondale will be vigorously expedited. Thank you in advance, Chairman Richard Harris, Vice Chair Mervyn Campbell, Commissioner James Russell, Commissioner Anthony LeBron, Commissioner Noah Thomas. I should say it's an embarrassment. I was in Uniondale for 40 years. I gave up 36 years of my life and my family livelihood. And when I miss birthdays, anniversary, everything, and I sit in my living room and I receive a call on my right, Uniondale Fire Department responding to such a building in East Garden City. It's an embarrassment, and it's a slap in the face to our members who gave 75 or 100 years protecting the lives and property of these people in the town of Hempstead, giving a big support of the town for us to be here. We should be getting an award here today instead of begging. Instead of begging, if you have the public notice that the town sends out and Uniondale Fire Department is not even mentioned.
Can you tell me what, Chief Campbell, can you tell me what notice that is?
It's on the website of all the districts in the town of Hempstead that says the different fire districts. It does not say Uniondale Fire District any place. Our attorney, Peter Fishbein, spoke to the town attorney, and he was erroneous. It was despicable the way he spoke to him, and he's manipulating us, and we are not going to tolerate it. We're going to take it any and everywhere we have to take it to correct it.
Well, Chief Campbell, let me say to you and to all the firefighters, the first responders.
That's Commissioner.
Commissioner Campbell.
Commissioner Campbell.
I'm Fire Commissioner Campbell. I'm next chief.
And you had said ex-chief, forgive me.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Okay, Fire Commissioner.
Right.
Forgive me for using your ex-chief title. I'm
You're excused.
proud of that, too. First off, as I was trying to say,
Right.
I want to thank you, all of you fellow first responders, for all of the service. We know you are called away from your dinner tables. You are called away from family events. Day, night, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So I want to thank you, first off, for all your tremendous service. With regard to the specific listing, but I can assure you, Commissioner, we will get to the bottom of that. I'm not sure, I don't know what that's about, but I certainly will find out about that. With regard, of course, and with regard to, as I was saying to Professor and as Councilwoman Gooseby was, we're with you. We're your partner with regard to the East Garden City, Uniondale scenario.
Right.
We will work with you to convince the feds who have within their power to change this, to do so.
I appreciate that, and I hope it's not just words, because we intend to take it to wherever it has to go.
We hope not either. We wrote letters 3 years ago. We're still waiting to hear from the feds.
But we don't know, because nobody tells them.
We sent out letters to each person who was here. Every person who came to that meeting quietly let them still know as to what was happening. But in addition, your names and names of people in here, in addition to that, we address and ask them to please write you. I'm sure the county because you called me lately, and I sent you a copy of what you have. So, but this time, I'm going to be able to go to Washington as a lobbyist for the Association of Towns. And since I am president, I will be meeting with Senator Schumer, Senator Gillibrand, and Congressman Rice. I'm telling you that now. So just put everything together that you need, including what you're saying, and I will deliver it to them on behalf of the union.
The only person I have to send a letter yet to is the President of the United States. That's how serious I am.
I'm going to be there in person. It makes a difference.
I'm living in Uniondale by choice. I threw my kids there and I put them up against any kid that's grown any place. And it's that important to me. And we intend to fight the good fight with the great haters.
And we intend to fight right along with you.
I'd appreciate that. We would like to know at least, I'll give you my name and phone number, so whatever correspondence, you know what you're doing.
Well, sir, I
know
you all the time. What you can, remember? So I support all of you because you very respect you as well as all of our friends. That's how we do tonight.
Supervisor, may I just make one comment? Commissioner, I respectfully, I don't have the same recollection of my conversation with Mr. Fishbein as you characterized it.
Right.
Mr. Fishbein is a friend of mine. We had a couple of conversations about this issue, and it was a very pleasant conversation. So I'm not really sure where that characterization comes from, but rest assured, as I said, we're going to work together with that.
I'm sorry, I hope not to offend you, but I have my own concept and I need action. I'm not looking to be a friend, I'm looking to have to give the residents of Uniondale back their pride. We love our town. And we expect it to be that way. I'm sorry if I offend you, but that's the way I feel.
To do the right thing.
That's the way I feel. I need
And
to
you can help us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Good afternoon. My name is Tarina Williams and my address is 1279 Pembroke Street in Uniondale.
Thank you.
I've been in Uniondale for over 30 years, but right now I'm angry. And I'm angry because you're saying that you are working with us. No, we voted you in, you work for us. That's one thing. Second thing is, show a good faith and do a resolution now. Why we can't have a resolution right now? To show a good faith that you're with us. No reason. That's all I have to say.
Good afternoon, Supervisor Murray and Council. My name is Pearl Jacobs. I'm president of Nelson Barton Civic Association, a civic association with currently a membership of 400 members. I want to state that we absolutely support the Greater Uniondale Area Action Coalition efforts to eradicate this atrocity with the East Barton City issue. I would like to make a statement. And the statement comes from my membership. I'm the president. I only speak on behalf of my membership. They asked that I make this statement and pose this question to you. The East Garden City, I would like to make a statement regarding the East Garden City issue and the town and county's long-standing neglect and disrespect for the Uniondale community. The steady encroachment of Uniondale's boundaries is an egregious act of economic and political exclusion. Carving out in East Garden City out of Uniondale, a long-standing, ethnically and racially integrated Long Island community smacks of Long Island's disturbing record of racist and elitist politics of gerrymandering and gentrification. Our vision is to move Long Island forward into a more united and socially just future. Question: why would East Garden City be designated as a census-designated place and under the most recent budget is eligible for community development block grant funding when Uniondale, a long-standing community in Long Island, historically has not received its fair share of community development block grant funding, thus rendering Uniondale an unserved and disenfranchised community?
All roads lead to the federal government. The census tract, the census agency creates the census. They created the East Garden City designation, and it's based on those census tracts that determine where the federal dollars go.
So,
all roads lead once again.
Supervisor Murray, so historically, for many, many years, Uniondale has not received this fair share of community development block grants. So historically, Uniondale has been underfunded, underserved, ignored, and ignored with all due respect from our town. We have come in the past, we've had requested meetings. We get a lot of letters, but we don't have any meetings. And we have requested meetings. We have not been given access. We have not been able to sit down to the table with our elected local politicians.
Yeah.
And we take that as disrespect.
Disrespectful.
I don't meet with people when they don't give me the respect that's due. When people are yelling and carrying on like some people, I will meet with you. We're working on your plan. We just don't have the money.
Councilwoman Gooseby, when have I ever yelled at you? When have anyone that I've known? We've already showed you respect. We have no access. We're asking for access.
You have access. You have a meeting coming up, community meeting coming up this month in March.
We're asking for access, and we're asking for to cease the encroachment of East Garden City onto Uniondale boundaries. And one last thing we're asking for, you can probably help us with this, is to replace our sign on Quinton Roosevelt Boulevard and Stewart Avenue that said "Welcome to Uniondale," and it was removed, and it was literally cut out from the post. And we've went to the police department, we've asked the town. No one knows who cut our sign out.
I don't know who cut it out, but we can replace it.
You can replace it. Thank you so much.
Also, you should know that person hasn't given a penny of federal dollars to the East Garden City, whatever it is.
But since you're going to see Captain Rice, we do know that Captain Rice is very rare for this issue. Maybe we can also, along with the East Garden City issue, bring up our community development block grant funding. Thank you so much.
All those dollars come from the feds as well.
Whatever questions you have,
Absolutely.
ask them to make a packet. I'm going to be there with other members of the Association of Towns. I will tell them what it is. As I said, I will present the packet. I'm not, that's all I can do. I can do that and let them know it's on.
With all due respect, you might be aware, but just want to let you know on record that we did send a letter to the State Attorney General.
Well, that's fine. I'm glad because it's nice when you follow every avenue.
And we will continue to do so. Thank you so much.
But I know when you requested a meeting of me and I have not come. I did come the first time and requested your meeting at the library. Remember how that turned out?
Well, Councilwoman Boozy, I wasn't president then. I'm president now.
Let me finish.
Okay.
You have not requested another meeting of me for your organization since that time. Okay, and as I said, we will have a community meeting this month. I don't remember the exact date because we have not gotten the notification, but I know it is this month sometime.
Well, for immediate, after this session, hopefully going forward, we will have more access, and we would appreciate that. Thank you.
That's not right. That's not true. You say, that's why I have to be very careful, because sometimes people say things that are not true. That's not true.
Yes.
Name your civic as well.
Nostrum Garden Civic Association.
That's it.
We give you that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Jacobs, if I
Yes.
could, just as a footnote, Mr. Gary Al, can you raise your hand? This is Mr. Al. He's in our sign shop. He would like to, if you could just have a quick conversation exactly where that sign is, so that we can replace it.
Thank you so
We'll
much.
replace it today.
Thank you.
We heard.
On that issue? On that issue.
Good morning, distinguished Kate Murray, Ms. Luce B, and rest of the council and everything else. My name is Jason David, President of New York, for 7 years. And the reason we came out before, Ms. Luce B, right, we have come to some meeting. But my issue question is to Mr. Everson. He was also arrested in Uniondale. I haven't seen it, anything else like that. But I also realized under his coverage, he covers East Garden City also. And that to me is a conflict. How can you support Uniondale and East Garden City? Because several exclusive, everybody else is loyal. There's no common person like myself in this school who have come from the beginning, who work hard and live out here. I mean, I don't fault her for being an attorney, that's a beautiful thing. But where does the person who advocates for every day, Miss Joe, Miss James, the person that works every day that wants to live out here and have a good environment for their family? This is why these people came out here, because when you take away our corporate neighbors, our taxes will go up for his property, our school taxes will go up, and 5% taxes is going to go up. That's why we came out here. Okay, now I understand it's a federal issue, but I was always taught as a young man, all things start locally first. And being that you was head supervisor at the time of Hempstead, it rested on your doorstep first. And that gentleman supposed to be representing Uniondale. I'd like him to come to some of our civic association meetings also. On this title is the East Garden City and Uniondale. I know Ms. Luthby, she comes, she's District 1, but he's District 2, and he also covers Uniondale, and I don't see him. Thank you. So sometimes I'm not coming, unless your party Uniondale don't come over after that.
Where do you live?
Uniondale.
No, but which part? I live, the only part of Uniondale that I represent is the Kellenberg part, where Councilwoman Lucy. I just go down around Kellenberg and back.
Okay, so your big city is then East Garden City then also. No, I'm just making sure because the Luthby, she does come out. We always extend an invitation for you to come out with smart, just everyday people. You see, if I think about a big time business person with some cash, different story. But I'm just keeping it around. It's a home everyday work at this time, earn a living, make sure my family get a good education out. That's what I'm doing in Nassau County. But now you attack me because I would consider working for whatever you want to call it. So be it. I can deal with that. No, but I'm just saying, for you to do this East Line thing, because to me, if a person's a real estate lawyer, if a person has other agendas, and he's on account, he's not looking out for my best interest as an everyday person.
This East Garden City designation, once again, is...
I know you say it's federal, but when you speak to people federal, say it's a town issue. So it's like going in a big circle, but it's okay. Don't worry about it. And that's it. Like I said earlier, it's always stated that everything starts locally first. You are representative, supposed to be hopefully advocating. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time. And this will be, I appreciate what you do. The other than me, also need to come out also. Thank you.
My name is Marie Catanese. I've been a Uniondale resident since 1955. I came into Uniondale knowing I was going to have to do a lot of work because the farms were beautiful. And I knew they wouldn't last that long. I'm here today to agree with the people in Uniondale. We go all the way up to Old Country Road, the south side of Old Country Road. I've been on the boundary committee of Uniondale, it seems like forever. I started with Nostrum Garden and have worked up to Unite and so forth and so on. I'd like you to look again at the town of Hempstead map. We have Uniondale, all in yellow. It's very beautiful. It's right down the center, but it says Uniondale down here. It does not say any East Garden City. On the top of the map, there's a legend, and it tells you somewhere. I'm blind now, you know. It says somewhere that there are towns, and in the towns here is the word East Garden City. But yet there's no East Garden City when you look over the entire map of Hempstead. This we have been arguing about for years and years. Now the Beacon sends out a map, and they used to cut us off at Hempstead Turnpike, I think, somewhere. And when they saw the maps we sent them, they changed their map to a full Uniondale to the south side of Old Country Road. Thank you. It's just unbelievable that the town could be cut in half the way it has. Here, I have another one. In fact, I have quite a few in my hand. We've heard about the Welcome to Uniondale sign that's missing. That sign from the date Kemp Cannon helped us put that sign there. We knew every day that we went past it, gee, the sign is still here. Gee, the sign is still here. Because right looking across the street is a big building that says Garden City Center. Right alongside that sign. Now I'll ask you, please, will somebody get down there and put our sign back? I think Kevin Hannon would have you.
Ms. Candice, I had said to Ms. Jacobs that it's going to be done today.
Thank you very much. And I hope you realize that our town has two people that work. The husband goes in the morning or the afternoon, the wife comes in, and the other guys are minding the kids. So that's why we don't have 50 million people here. Please understand, we have a beautiful, big community. People work together. People love each other.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Marie. My name is Moses Green. I live at 179 Warren Street in Uniondale.
Thank you.
I have been there for approximately 45 years. And I have watched Long Island for 45 years. And I understand politics pretty much. I understand how it works. And the reason why I came up with what everyone else has said, but to let you know that we're watching you, we watch all of you, we watch politics in Nassau County. And we understand when you say that this has nothing to do with you. We understand that it's the federal government. But I just want to say that we would like for you to work with us in Uniondale because we understand that this is a financial situation here. They're trying to take away the base of Uniondale financial district. Now we understand.
I don't know where that idea is, since it comes from the federal government. I'm not sure who you think is trying to take away a commercial base.
Well, the redistricting of that area is actually has a lot to do with finance. I understand that. But what I'm saying, in other words, is that everyone says in politics that we have nothing to do with that. I remember just about a month ago, when they were trying to bring a casino into Carl Place in West End. Everyone said they had nothing to do with it. But all of the politicians stood up with West End and Carl Place. we would like for you all to stand up with Uniondale, because we understand that this is a very, very serious situation. And it would be a disaster for Uniondale,
Were you just
financially.
talking about the casino? Were you just talking about the casino?
No, I said, but he wasn't listening, I'm sorry.
Sir, I want you to know that all the money that comes out of that area comes into Uniondale. As a matter of fact, when it came in.
That's what I said, that's what I said.
$1 million into the school district pot, you know, from the new, what's it, Avalon? Yes. So you got $1 million in addition, all the money that are coming out of it come into Uniondale. So I don't know who's telling you the money does. I know that the taxes come into.
Well, that's what I said, he wasn't listening. I said that there's our financial base. And I said that all the money, that a lot of money that comes into the Uniondale district comes out of the base. I mean, I remember when the lighthouse went up and how people was against it, because it meant a great deal for Uniondale. They fought against it, and it was disapproved. It was thrown out. But I would like to do the fight for Uniondale the same way that the politicians fought for Carl Blades and Casino. I said, no, people
One of the
fought.
politicians was me.
Yes, you fought. Exactly, you fought.
And we know the development in the Coliseum that will continue to accrue to the Uniondale School District and the Uniondale community.
And the casino is not coming to Carl Place and Westdale. And we would like to resolve this issue also. And let Uniondale remain Uniondale and not become part of East Garden City. Thank you.
Has anybody actually met with any of their federal representatives over this issue?
Yes.
Commissioner?
We have
Cable, you did?
a meeting in a couple of days with Deputy Wright.
With Captain Rice?
Deputy Wright.
Yeah, we need to.
Yeah.
We met with Captain Rice on the phone recently.
Okay, what are they doing? Are they taking steps as federal
Well, basically,
representatives?
they took a lot of notes, they confirmed with Captain Rice, they seem to be supporting what we're stating. And they also said they would speak with you about it.
Yeah, exactly. You were there.
They federal representatives, okay. I just want to know, has anybody met with any other federal representatives?
County representatives on South, we just haven't heard anything back.
Oh,
No response.
So would you do me a favor, give me those dates when you met with them, so when I go, I can say they met with you on such and such a day. All right, so they should have a response. I will give it to them when I go to Washington.
Oh, I'm sorry. You sat down, figured that. Sorry about that.
Mary Ellen Craig, 436 Locust Avenue, Uniondale. Next year, my husband and I will be residents of Uniondale for 50 years, proud residents of Uniondale. We appreciate the place we live and the people we live with. It's been a wonderful almost 50 years, and we're very grateful that we chose this community. I'd like to respond to Mr. Ambrosino. He asked about Nostrum Gardens Civic Association. We were not in Uniondale at the time, but there were a number of civic associations named for the areas where they were formed. Nostrum Gardens was a specific area down near south of Jerusalem, near Smith Street School. There are various other ones, northwest, and then now they, of course, all escaped me, but in any case, quite a number of them. When Nostrum Gardens decided to incorporate, then it expanded its area to cover all of the Uniondale school districts, just as Uniondale Community Council had done previously. And so that's why it has, a name that does not specifically state Uniondale. The other point I'd like to make is with Mr. Ra. If I understand you, this issue about the fire protection district as opposed to the fire district itself, is that it cannot have the same name?
Here's what you have. You have the Uniondale Fire Department.
Right.
Which covers all of Uniondale. There is an area adjacent to that, which the census tract designates as East Garden City, that is not protected by a fire department.
Right, I got that.
By a fire department. And for that, the town of Hempstead has to go out to the various fire departments in the area and ask who to protect. So the point being that if you change the name, if you change the name from East Garden City to Uniondale tomorrow, it doesn't mean one more penny for or against what Uniondale paid. There's no tax money that's being sent.
Oh, I think this is what.
But we're not talking about that.
Just for this particular point, just.
As you well know, that's not what we're talking about. Money is not the issue, basically, at this particular point. The point is identity. So it could be called Uniondale Fire Protection District.
I would have to sit down with the fire commissioners and go over the balances and see what we can, if you're asking the question, should we call it something other than East Garden City?
Yes.
I suppose we could, but we need to get it. That's the census tract, we need to sit down and meet it.
Okay, so that would be, first preference would be Uniondale itself. And then if I might make a suggestion, if that is impossible, for any reason that you cannot imagine, then how about North Uniondale?
Just a little update, I told Ms. Jacobs that the Welcome to Uniondale sign would be put up today by the town of Hempstead. The Uniondale Fire Department has come forward. You actually want to put up the sign yourselves?
The fire district does,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Happy to do it, or we can do whatever you want, but just wanted to give that update. Okay, so we have a 5-minute break. 1 minute break. I know you're sleeping.